why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Dylan! You son of a bitch!
Hey, yo. What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another thrilling, spectacular, amazing episode in Madness Pod, episode 26. Shawn the Butcher here with Vertebrae 33. How's it going?
What's going on, Shawn? How are you? How are things?
Things are swell. Things are swell. Yeah. Life is happening. Work is happening. Floods are happening. We were just talking about how we were eventually all going to drown in Long Island once the water completely takes us over. But I'm glad we're still here pumping out brand new episodes of In Madness Pod, going to be hitting one of my all-time favorite movies. But before we get into all that, make sure you follow us on the socials at In Madness Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads. Hit us in the mail sack. We're going to be dipping into it shortly. In Madness Pod at gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page. Give the 5-star review on every platform you listen on. Check out the In Madness Spotify playlist. Vertebrae was telling me you sent it to one of your buddies, and he was listening to the Killer Clowns and Gremlins theme on his ride back to Philadelphia, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I was listening to it doing stuff here at the house, and I was outside in the garage. And I had it on, and Shawn, I was getting a whole bunch of work done, but then Whitney comes on, and I just stop. I stop drilling, I stop sawing, and I just I'm in my garage singing along.
And you're so used to that being the end of day song. You're like, oh, this is it. This is it.
Yeah,
once
time
this
to wrap
on,
up.
Yeah,
time to go. Is this Comic-Con? It's time to go home. It's time to go home. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about this movie. Before we start, I've got my mug this time. I'll show it to you. Have you ever heard of Effin' Birds?
No. What's Effin' Birds?
Okay, so Effin' Birds is like an Instagram. They have art, so they have pictures of birds, and then they'll usually have a phrase that goes.
Oh, I've seen that. Yes, I am fucking magnificent is what your mug says. With
so my buddy got me that, and then I'm rocking this hoodie for any of the YouTube
Look
people.
at him go. Look at this. Oh, that's the Predator wristband countdown. Where did you get that from?
Predator hoodie. Yeah, so I got this hoodie. It's a place called Last Exit to Nowhere, and it's actually, when I gave you your birthday gift, there was a witch card, right? Didn't I give you the witch card? And that's where it came from, that place. Yeah. So they're pretty cool. But yeah, the super comfy countdown Predator wrist is his Apple Watch that he had in advance.
Son of a bitch. So good. Make sure you spread the madness. Tell your friends about this show, our 0.5s, our short episodes, our previous episode, Misery. We took a complete left turn. But now we're turning back into our more comfortable lane. Anything else you wanted to get into before we get into our movie for episode 26 of In Madness Pod?
I don't think so. Just happy for everyone listening to us, and
we got exciting announcements coming, but you're just gonna have to stick around for 0.5s and possibly 0.75s.
Yes. Oh yeah, we're gonna go a little weird in the future with this, so hope everyone can keep up, and I think it'll make sense once we get through it, or maybe it won't, Shawn. Maybe people don't know what we're talking about, and that's okay.
Well, has our numbering system ever made any sense?
No, it's fine. Just go to your podcast app and open it and listen to whatever's there. Don't worry about the numbers. We worry about the numbers. You don't have to worry about it.
Still worrying about the numbers. Let's start eating pizza. What movie are we doing?
Oh boy, we are doing Predator. Yeah, that is it's an interesting score. We can get into it in a little bit, but that's a very interesting score. Predator released June 12th, 1987 by 20th Century Fox. Directed by John McTiernan, who directed Die Hard. And it was written by the brothers Jim and John Thomas. And the working title for this was Hunter, which I think they kind of refer to him as Hunter. And from the beginning, I'll just say we're not going to go into all of the lore of Predator right now, or any of that. I think we can go into that at a later date, because it'll take us off track of this film. right? None of that existed when this film came out. So I'd like to take us back to just what it felt like when you first saw this. And then later on, we could talk about in another episode, we could talk about all the gnarly bits of Predator lore, because it went much deeper as it went along. Creature effects designed by Stan Winston. The score is by Alan Silvestri, and he's done a ton of scores. Everything from the Avengers films to Stuart Little to the Back to the Future films, like over 100 films. And it's a pretty, I do not have this score on vinyl. It's a pretty, not, I'm going to say erratic score. It's very heavy at certain times and gets that overtone that you were just doing throughout, but it's a weird one, actually. And to get into Predator lore just to touch, and I said I wouldn't, but it just will say there's 3 sequels and 1 prequel, right? So we've got Predator 2, Predators, The Predator, Prey, and then we get into this whole Aliens versus Predator and Alien versus Predator thing, and Requiem, and then there was Predator Hunting Grounds, which I never saw. Did you see that?
I honestly don't know. I've seen so many of the Predator movies, and I don't know which one was which. I have to check out the trailer or like the poster for that one.
Because Arnold was back for that one, I think. I think he came back or had a role in Predator Hunting Grounds. But if we go through the cast, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger as Major, Alan Dutch Schaefer, Carl Weathers as Al Dillon, Elpida Carrillo as Anna Gonzalez, Bill Duke as Master Sergeant Mac Elliott, Richard Chavez as Staff Sergeant Jorge Pancho Ramirez, Jesse Ventura as Sergeant First Class Blaine Cooper, Sonny Landham as Sergeant First Class Billy Soul, Shane Black as Sergeant Rick Hawkins, R.G. Armstrong as Major General, Homer Phillips, Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator. He was also a helicopter pilot. And Peter Cullen as the Predator's voice. Do you know what other voices Peter Cullen has done?
No idea.
Yeah, he would have also been the voice of Megatron in the Transformers cartoon.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we can dive a second, but initially the plan was to have Jean-Claude Van Damme in the costume, and there's a bunch of stories about how it was just too heavy, and there were kind of multiple costumes that they tried out in the beginning. So he wasn't able to do the film. And there were tons of changes to this Predator creature design as it went along. And I think Dark Horse released, much like they did with Alien 3, they released the Predator original screenplay because there was a lot of revisions, and they went back to the original, and the character, he looks a little bit different. I've never seen it. I do have a ton of Predator comics and a ton of Alien versus Predator comics, so we'll hit up our socials with big piles of those. I did listen to the director's commentary for this, Shawn, and this director, first of all, he's like incredibly laid back for a director's commentary. Like almost like he'll just kind of stop talking for a while. There'll be silence. But he sounds so much like Garfield that it was just throwing me off the entire time. And I felt like I was waiting for him to, say something mean to Odie or talk about lasagna. But if you get a chance, go listen to the director's commentary. And that was fun unto itself. Not a lot of gnarly bits in it, but that part was pretty fun. So you ready to dive in?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, we started off the year heavy with monsters and aliens, with Cloverfield and Fire in the Sky. So then we made our hard left and we did Misery. Shout out if you enjoyed our Misery episode. Make sure you hit us in the mail sack in madnesspod@gmail.com if you enjoyed that episode, have any questions or comments about it. The main reason that we are doing this is because Carl Weathers passed away. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. I have a pic with him that I sent you, Vertebrae, when we peed next to each other in the bathroom. I'll post that. Not the actual picture of us pissing next to each other. We took a picture after we both washed our hands like gentlemen after. And I feel like this is the best way that we can pay our proper respects to this legend is by covering one of my all-time favorite Carl Weathers movies. Yes, I'll say it, favorite even more so than Rocky. Sorry, Rocky fanatics.
Mm.
I think Dylan is that's my guy when it comes to Carl Weathers. This is also one of my favorite Schwarzenegger movies ever, like ever, more so than Terminator and Terminator 2. This is it for me. Predators. I love Predator. I love the Alien Predator. I love the Predator Alien crossover. Not so
Mm.
much the movies, but there's a cool arcade game, Alien Predator, which
Mhm.
recently popped. I know I played it and I forgot about it, and it recently popped up on Instagram, and I'm like, oh man, I would kill to play this game again.
Mm.
But there's all the comics, Alien Predator. There's even an alien skull in Predator 2, which we can get to eventually, shortly, I'm sure. And we have a little theme planned for these next couple episodes. So pay attention to what the hell is going on. And thanks for
Mm.
taking this ride with us. Are you
And
ready?
and Carl Weathers was also, we'll get it out, our first Star Wars reference out of the way, but he was in The Mandalorian recently. So fantastic job in The Mandalorian. I do love him was he in Happy Gilmore too?
Yes, Chubbs.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that role for him, Happy Gilmore. But rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Thank you very much for everything.
And for giving us a reason to finally do this movie, because I've been wanting to do it for so damn long, and we've been stalling and stalling, and now there is no better time to pay respect to a legend. Are you ready to go?
Let's go.
So the movie opens, we see outer space is kind of like The Thing. And
Mhm.
kind of like The Thing, a ship is hurtling towards the Earth, and it ejects a singular pod, and then we see it enter our atmosphere. We cut to the iconic Predator theme, which I will absolutely be adding to the In Madness playlist. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So we got a helicopter lands on the beach. It's on an island, which they've turned into this military outpost. And there he is inside waiting, Carl Weathers, enjoying himself a drink.
Mhm.
Helicopter doors open, and there's Jesse the Body Ventura, a once legendary wrestling announcer. He's like a governor now or something, I think,
He,
or like
he
some
was a
political figure.
he was a governor. He was a governor in Minnesota. I'm not sure if he's active politically now. Oh, I got really close to the screen there for a second. Sorry for anyone on YouTube. I got to wind back. But yeah, I don't think he's. I mean, I'm sure he's active politically, but he's not the governor anymore.
He's got an MTV shirt on, so it's like, oh, better watch out for this guy because he's breaking all the rules.
And I love the way they roll out all these characters. This movie has very much a Vietnam film feel to it. It was filmed in Mexico, and just fun fact as you go through it, but I guess when they decided to film it there, they didn't realize that the trees near where they were filming are deciduous trees. So when they got there to film, they were like losing a lot of their leaves. So they had to kind of fluff it up with other fake trees amongst it. So that's why there are parts in this movie where it seems a little odd, like it seems like it would be on a set and not, filmed on location, and that's the reason. But I think even the New York Times, when they did a review of it, made comments about the fake trees or something. But
they all get out of the helicopters, and there's one guy sitting in the back, and he lights his stogie, and there he is, Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger, our hero, badass, man of the people. Also, I believe holds some type of political, power. Is that true?
well, he was governor of California for a while.
Yeah, look at that.
Two governors on one helicopter.
There's these big ass army jeeps. It drives them what looks like 30 feet to their destination. I mean, they could have probably just walked. They didn't need that jeep ride. And Arnold, his name is Dutch. He's greeted by the general, the head military dude running this operation. They seem happy to see each other again. General says they lost a chopper 18 hours ago. It was carrying a cabinet minister, whatever the hell that is. I don't know. They've got a transponder on their position. Dutch asks if the cabinet minister always travels on the wrong side of the border. General says they strayed off course and they're pretty sure they've been taken captive by guerrilla troops. Dutch asks, why not use the regular army? Why do you need us? And from the back, enjoying his drink, is Carl Weathers, who says, because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
And Shawn, when I was a little kid, just to the side, I thought when somebody would say like guerrilla warfare or guerrilla troops, because I love the Planet of the Apes, I thought they were talking about real gorillas, and I was like,
Actual gorillas.
this is crazy. Wow,
So
where is this?
the Rage Against the Machine song "Gorilla Radio" you thought was about gorillas taking over a radio station.
Yeah, I thought they would just take your job, you know.
Eventually, Dutch turns around, he smiles, and he yells,
Mm,
"Dylan, you son of a bitch!" One of the most
that's what you should
classic
have said.
lines ever.
That's what you should have said in the bathroom, Ed.
I quoted it in the thing, but no, I freaked out. I was just like, "Oh shit, yeah, no, I should have, I froze up, I froze up." So then they do the iconic, hand slap, handshake, and they do the little test of strength. And Dutch is smiling, asking Dylan if the CIA has him pushing too many pencils. They
This
do
is
that
how we should greet each other, Sean, when we see each other from now on.
every time with the
And then
veins popping out.
then just stand there like really long so everyone around us gets uncomfortable as we make this like very manly handshake.
Well, then they do the arm wrestling thing, and then Dylan is losing and finally gives up and tells Dutch that he's happy to see him again. Dutch makes fun of Dylan's tie. He says he heard about the job they pulled off in Berlin. He's like, "Yeah, why'd you pass on Libya?" Dutch says it wasn't his style. Dylan says, "You don't have any style. Why'd you pass?" Says, "We're a rescue team, not assassins." And then Dylan and the general give each other a look. Dutch asks him what they want to do. General says the cabinet minister is very important. Dylan interrupts and says he's saying that a couple of our friends are going to get squeezed and we can't let that happen. We need the best. Dylan says it's a one-day operation. Find the chopper, grab the hostages, get back across the border before anyone knows we're there. Dutch says, "We?" Dylan says, "I'm going with you." Dutch says his team works alone, but General says we all have our orders. Once you reach the chopper, Dylan will take charge. And Dutch is not stoked.
Mm-mm.
Also, this would make our platoon count 7, which begs the question, can we somehow link this to 7?
Well,
And if you're asking if I made a connection list, I did. Did you also?
I did not make a connection list. I made a connection to the number, but I didn't make a connection. I had that in my notes, but I didn't make a connection for the sins for each of them.
Would you like to hear it?
I would love to hear. I'm super excited for this.
The wheels fall off. I can't do it, but check it out. For pride, I guess I got Dutch. Okay. For greed, I got Dylan. Right.
Yeah.
For wrath, I have Mac. For envy, I guess like the Joker guy. I don't know his name. The guy who tells all the jokes. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is where the wheels start to fall off.
Okay.
For lust, I have Jesse the Body Ventura because he's the sexual Tyrannosaurus. And then gluttony and sloth, I can't think of anything because Poncho and Billy Badass don't fit that criteria at all.
Yeah, it's true. But there's 7 of them. We'll go back to that. We'll stick to.
I tried.
It's
I was
fine.
like, oh, Vertebrae's gonna have a fit with this one.
When it was 7, I was super excited. Those are the things I look for right away. That, and it's, I don't know what time of year it is. Could be a Christmas film. I don't know.
I did rewind it to count how many son of bitches came out that the helicopter. I was like, oh, it's 6. And then Dylan says he's going with him, and I'm like, oh, 7.
Oh, when did you see this film, Sean?
First time ever.
Yeah. Do you
late
remember?
in the game, like super late in the game.
Yeah.
I probably on Netflix when I was ordering CDs in the mail. It was definitely years and years and years after it came out. And then when I did watch it, I'm like, oh my God, how have I been missing this movie for so long? It's so good. What about you?
I definitely saw it in it would have been a home video release that I saw. So I don't know. 87, it probably didn't come out on home video till 88. So I'm thinking I saw it then, but it was one of those ones where when it was out, everybody was waiting at the video store to get it, and people would wait by like the return section and hope somebody is going to return that one. There'd just be all the empty boxes up top, like Predator all the way across. But yeah, I was super excited to see it. I didn't see it. I think a friend got it or something like that, and we watched it at his house, and then but I didn't have I was too young to have a card at the time to rent my own film. So I think like, somebody's parent had to rent it for us to watch. But
yeah, I wish I could have saw this in theaters. What year was it?
87.
Oh, yeah, I was 4. Little 4-year-old Shawn.
Yeah,
watching
I
Predator.
mean, you could have saw it in theaters. I don't know how much you'd remember now, but
This is, I'd be petrified if I was scared of fire in the sky. I don't think I could handle Predator yet. We cut to the chopper flying through the air, music's blasting. Little Richard, Long Tall Sally, which I am 100% adding to the In Madness playlist. The song fucking rocks. Chopper's flying over this massive jungle. Jesse the Body's jamming out Little Richard on his boombox where you got the music coming from. He stuffs this massive wad of tobacco in his mouth. Gross. You see the whole team gearing up for the mission. Dutch and Dylan are talking. Dutch wants to know who's their backup. Dylan says no such thing. This is a one-way ticket. Once we cross the border, we're on our own. And Dutch laughs. This keeps getting better by the minute.
And this scene was filmed like it's shot day to night. So it's shot during the day and then they do something with it to make it look like nighttime. And the director, claims he doesn't really like kind of how it came out. There was a struggle for them to film it. And then there was some stuff shot with a blue screen, somewhere else with the inside of the helicopter type stuff. But also, Shawn, filming this in Mexico, keep this in mind. The hotel that the production team was staying at had an issue with their water purification.
Oh.
So this led to most of the cast and crew getting horrendous diarrhea, and only 2 people didn't get sick. The director, and that's right, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of course he didn't get sick. Of course.
He can't with that body. Everything just like all toxins just get defeated. And yeah, he can defeat everything outside and inside his body.
At a cellular level, there's just these small versions of him fighting it off.
This is great. This is great Simpsons thing where Bart, he wants to get sick. So like he concentrates really hard and he lets his like the sick cells take over his like healthy cells. It's pretty funny. That's Arnold, but the other way around where the healthy cells beat the shit out of the sick cells. One of the dudes in the crew is yelling at Billy badass. He says, the other day I went up to my girlfriend. I says, I'd like a little pussy. And she says, me too. Mine's as big as a house. And he laughs to himself, but Billy stares at him blankly. The dude begins further explaining the joke. You see, she wanted a little one because hers big as a house. Jesse Body's offering everybody chewing tobacco. No one wants it. He gets pissed and says, it'll make you a sexual tyrannosaurus just like me. Dylan's showing off his gift he and Dutch were given back in 72, and Jesse the Body is staring at him. He hawks the nastiest, disgustingest tobacco loogie right onto Dylan's foot, and he says, that's a real nasty habit you got there.
Yeah.
The alert in the chopper goes off. It's time to jump. They turn the music off, open the chopper. Dylan looks down, and he seems pretty scared. Says, never knew how much I missed this, Dutch, and he smiles and says, you never were that smart. They all jump out the chopper and they land in the middle of the jungle. They make their way and they find the down chopper in a tree. Troops check it out. They report back. Pilots each got one in the head. Whoever hit it stripped out all the electronics. Think they took him out with a heat seeker. Troop tells him there's something else. It wasn't a regular chopper. Seemed like it was doing surveillance. Dutch want to know if they picked up a trail. Well, Dylan wants to know if they picked up a trail. Dutch tells him Billy's taking care of it. He says it was a heat seeker, pretty big weapon for some half-ass mountain boys. Dylan says they're getting better equipped each day.
Also, they drop down off these ropes out of the helicopter, but like when the helicopter pulls away, like 2 seconds later, all the ropes are gone. How does it? Is somebody up there pulling them? It feels like it would take forever to yank all those ropes back up.
Maybe they just cut them from the top and let them just drop to the ground.
Yeah, there's somebody, because who else was there? It was just a pilot, no?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, they have rope cutters. Yeah, I don't know.
There's just a rope. There's a rope guy. Did we forget? Did we
maybe
bring
it's
the
a
rope
button.
guy?
They could smash the button. They just like retract back.
Yeah, they
up.
just hit it, and maybe they just drop down, or maybe they do retract back up. I was curious because they cut away really quick.
If you're a member of the military and you're listening to In Madness Pod and you know how this shit works, please let us know on the socials at In Madness Pod, inmadnesspod@gmail.com. Hit us in the mail sack.
This is what it's like watching a movie with me, because I first think there's no way I'm jumping out of that helicopter. There's no way. No rope. I don't care. It's not happening. And then I think, hey, where'd the ropes go?
Billy Badass tells Dutch there were 12 gorillas, not apes, actual men. He says they took 2 men from the chopper, but there's something else. 6 men wearing U.S. issued army boots. They came in from the north and followed the gorillas. Dutch looks at Dylan and says, does that mean anything to you? He says it's probably just another rebel patrol. They operate here all the time, but you can tell Dylan knows more than he's letting on.
Yeah.
Billy Badass is looking around, tracking the footprints. This dude is one with the environment. That's what makes Billy a badass.
Yeah.
There's a long vine. He chops it and begins drinking water out of it. And as he's drinking, birds chirp and fly away. And Billy slowly stops and begins looking around curiously.
And Billy, played by Sonny Landham, and he listen, he had a lot of issues later in life after he wasn't in this movie anymore and got himself into a whole mess of trouble. But when they did this movie, they needed an insurance policy. That's one of the famous gnarly bits that they have, and it wasn't for his safety, it was for other people's safety that worked with him. So so they had to take out the special insurance policy for that. He was also in 48 Hours. He was Billy Bear in 48 Hours.
I don't know if I know about his history. I might have to go look up his history. Is it really bad?
Yeah, just go look it up when you get
Oh no, not Billy
Yeah.
Badass. He approaches a large tree. He's climbing it slowly, cautiously, and goddamn it, we hear it. This noise, this lizard-like alien reptile clicking. It quickly echoes past as if something is right there. Billy moves aside some leaves and reveals 3 completely skinned bodies. And a murder of crows begins squawking, flying all over the place. And these 3 skinned bodies are hanging upside down, guts, intestines all over the ground. Troops pull out the dog tags. They throw him the Dutch, and he sees Jim Hopper. He tells one of the troops, Mac, to cut down the bodies. He tells Dylan he knew these men, Green Berets from Fort Bragg. What the hell were they doing here? Dylan says he doesn't know. No one told him about the operation in this area. They shouldn't have been here. And angrily, Dutch says somebody sent them.
And are we to believe? So if we kind of figure out this timeline, are we to believe that the Predator shot them down and then went to attack them to fight them, right? Because it's a thing for their species. So
or the gorillas down the plane and then they just became victim of Predator.
Okay. He just happened to be there.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
The troops are stunned. Why would they skin them? That's no way for a soldier to die. Billy's picking up shell casings off the ground. Dutch is asking Billy what happened. He says it's strange. There was a firefight. They were shooting in all directions. Dutch can't believe his buddy Jim Hopper walked into an ambush. Billy says he doesn't think he did. He can't find a single track. Whoa.
And Billy's got his radar is up early in this. None of this feels right to him at all. The other guy's kind of going through the paces a little, and then we hit certain points where everybody realizes, whoa, this is not what we expected it to be. But he's thrown off by all of this from this point forward.
Dutch asks, what about the rest of Hopper's men? Billy tells him there's no sign. They never left here. It's like they just disappeared. But they insist that they go on course and rescue the hostages. So one of the troops, Mac, standing with Jesse the body of the sexual Tyrannosaurus, says it's time to let old Painless out the bag. And Jesse whips out the chain link gun, whatever the hell it's called. I don't even know what it is. It's a friggin' mammoth. It's got like 6 barrels. It shoots from them simultaneously. Jesse goes, it's payback time. Camera pans up the trees and power transported to the view of something. It seems to be seeing in like heat vision or something. Everything's mostly blue, but it's watching our troops. We see them brightly illuminated in reds and oranges and greens. It's watching them, but they don't know. Billy Badass does, but nobody else does. It's stalking them. It's right above them.
And this is very unique for this movie. This is the first time I ever saw this in a film. I don't know if it's the first time that it's ever been done, but it's really cool that we're going to stumble upon so many unique aspects of this film that get copied later on. But this is the first time a lot of us are seeing all of this. And you would talk about the Predator vision when you refer to other things too. It just becomes, part of our culture pretty quickly after this movie comes out.
I love it. The troops are making their way through the jungle. Dutch stops and looks up, and we hear more birds squawking. And this thing is watching them. It seems to be staring directly at Dutch, but the troops continue on. Dylan slaps a bit of log, goes tumbling down the hill. He turns around and continue moving on, but there's Mac right in his face. He says, "You're ghosting us, motherfucker. I don't care who you were back in the world. If you give away our position one more time, I'll bleed
Mm.
you real quick and leave you right here. You got that?"
Mm.
Woof. Mac is intense. I love Mac. They finally reach it. There's a camp. There's hostages being held. Dutch is looking through binoculars, formulating a plan. He sees a man in pain. One of the guerrillas rolls up and with a gun sticks it to his head and blows the dude away. And Dutch looks devastated.
Mhm.
He rallies up the troops. They're going to make the rescue now. A couple of guys demobilize some of the guerrillas watching the camp. Dutch makes his move. He notices this car with no tires prop that seems to be running. I guess it's like generating power, like a battery for some electric at this camp. I don't know. I have no idea.
Mhm.
Either way, Dutch puts a bomb in the back of it with his massive strength, lifts the car off of the stumps that it's propped up on, which sends it headfirst into this group of gorillas. Seem to be enjoying themselves, having his little snack pack, a Capri Sun, a bag of Doritos. And this truck crashes right into them, and Dutch blows up the bomb, and Dylan says, "Showtime," and kablooey. Bombs, guns, explosions, action, mayhem, death, destruction, total madness. This is
Mm.
what I'm here for.
And that the car is attached to like something where there's like a pipe with water. So maybe it's pumping water out of something for the camp. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't want to work at this camp, Sean. No,
Lots
I'm
of
not.
guns and drugs and probably money. It's probably a big illegal operation. And yeah, no, I could see me being, it's too hot for this illegal operation in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah, do you work now? You're there. Do you work 24 hours a
There's a
day? Do you
there's
get
a clock out shift.
do you get a lunch break? Do you have to take that, a 15-minute at a certain time? But yeah,
If you work for a drug cartel, let us know how this works on the socials at InMadnessPod,
please,
InMadnessPod@gmail.com.
please don't.
Don't identify yourself. I will only read your name as classified.
Yeah, you have to put it in there, otherwise Sean will read it
Yeah.
exactly as it is on the
For our listeners in prison. Yeah. We want to hear from somebody in jail. If you're listening from jail, let us know on the socials at InMadnessPod, InMadnessPod@gmail.com. In the middle of this all, a man approaches Dutch from behind. He takes out a machete. He throws it at the guy, goes through his gut, and pins him to the wall. And Dutch says, "Stick around."
Mm.
If that's not enough, he kicks another door down, finds two other gorilla dudes, and says, "Knock, knock," and shoots at them, but they seem to run away or something. Somebody begins approaching Dutch from behind. He jerks back, knocks him out, and sees that it's a woman and goes, "Oh, shit." He asks Mac about the other hostages. Seems like they're all dead. Mac says, from the looks of it, our cabinet minister was CIA. Some of the guys we killed were Russian military advisors. Something big was going to happen here.
Hmm.
We see Jesse the body and Poncho chasing after the dudes who got away. Poncho tells Jesse he's shot. He's been hit. He's bleeding. And Jesse goes, "I ain't got no time to bleed." Poncho just goes, "Oh, okay."
Well, there's my answer right there. So these guys aren't getting lunch break either because he doesn't even have time to bleed. So
I
yeah.
love Poncho's reaction. He's like, "All right." Such a weirdo. We cut to Dylan looking at all his paperwork around. They hit the jackpot. It's more than they thought they'd get. We got those bastards. Dutch approaches Dylan, grabs him by the collar, slams him against the wall, and he's like, "You set us up. It's bullshit. The cabinet minister, the whole business. You just got us in here to do your dirty work." Dylan says they stopped a major invasion. In 3 days, this would have been across the border with all this stuff, these weapons, these drugs and guns, and smuggled from the camp. Dutch wants to know why they had to do it. Dylan says, because no one else could have pulled it off. You're pissed about the story I gave you. I knew I couldn't get you out here without it. Angrily, Dutch asks, what story did you hand to Hopper?
Mm.
Dylan tells him they've been looking for that camp for months. My men were in that chopper when it got hit. Hopper's orders were to go in, get my men, and he disappeared. And Dutch yells, he didn't disappear. He was skinned alive.
Mm.
Dylan yells, and my orders were to get somebody who could crack these bastards. So you cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us here in a meat grinder.
Mm.
What happened to you, Dylan? Used to be somebody I could trust. Dylan says, I woke up. Why don't you? You're an asset, an expendable asset, and I used you to get the job done. Woof.
Oh, this relationship has gone sour.
Dutch says, "My men are not expendable, and I don't do this kind of work."
Yeah, this is rough. So the fix is in. They're just, but I love that he's got no problem blowing up the entire village, attacking everybody, and then he hits that woman by accident. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm so like," he doesn't know whether she was a hostage or not, right? At this point.
No, not yet, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, he's there. She becomes their hostage, but yeah, it's interesting.
And she also messes up my whole count because now there's 8 of them, and it screws everything up.
Well, don't
So
worry. One
there
one
goes
will
the
be
7
dead
rule.
soon.
Yeah, here
Yeah,
they
one
go.
will.
So now they got gorillas tracking them at the camp. They're about 1 or 2 miles away. Dutch wants to get the hell out of there. Dylan wants to bring the girl. Dutch knocked out. She's conscious again. And Dylan says she knows their whole network. Dutch thinks she'll give away their position. Dylan says he's still in charge. Dutch tells him she's your problem. If you fall behind, you're on your own.
Hmm.
Dutch is trying to arrange for a pickup. There's no way to do it now with all the gorillas on their ass. He asks Billy Badass, find me a way out of this hole. Billy tells him the only way out is the Eastern Valley, but he won't waste that on a broke dog dick or a broke dick dog. I don't know what the hell he said.
Mm.
Dutch tells him they don't have much of a choice. And once again, we're watching Dutch and the team from this thing's point of view, this heat vision. We see Dutch throw down his stogie he's smoking and walk away. Dylan follows the girl. They are yelling at each other. Mac, who had beef with Dylan earlier, calls his name. He says, come here. And we see this thing looking at Mac, and it's analyzing his voice. Mac tells Dylan, turn around. Dylan says, why? Mac looks up with his eyes like, hey, look at that. And when Dylan turns around, Mac takes out a knife and stabs him in the back. And you're like, holy shit, did he just stab this dude? But then Dylan quickly turns back around, and there's Mac with a stabbed, deadly-looking scorpion on the end of his knife. Dylan angrily says thanks and walks away. And when he does, Mac says, anytime. He puts the scorpion down and squashes it.
I would want to be on the mission with Mac 100%. I don't know that I want to go, get a Happy Meal with Mac, but I think if I on the mission, I want to be sitting right next to that guy. He's spotting scorpions. He's got everything under control. Yeah. Love that guy.
That's my motherfucking man, Mac. A young troop runs up to Billy Badass to tell him another joke. The other day I was going down to my girlfriend. I said to her, geez, you got a big pussy. Geez, you got a big pussy. She said, why'd you say it twice? And I said, I didn't. Once again, Billy stares at him blankly, and the kid explains, because of the echo. Billy slowly smiles and laughs. We're zapped back to the point of view of this thing watching them in heat vision, and it's analyzing Billy's laugh. Zooming in on Billy's face, Billy begins walking away and hears a twig fall to the ground and stops and looks back into the trees, but walks away. We're zapped back to this thing's POV, the heat vision, slowly approaching all the dead bodies on the floor at the camp. It makes this sick, lizardy, reptilian, alien sort of noise as it's looking around all the carnage. It's replaying Mac's voice saying, come here, turn around. We also hear Billy's laughter over and over in the background. It's slowly approaching a glowing red globule, and we see it. This hand with sharp, pointy claw fingers come into frame, and it scoops up this red globule, and it opens its hand, and we see it's the scorpion that Mac just stepped on. And we also hear, which is the hint I gave in our 0.5 for what movie we were going to do, it's staring at this crushed scorpion in his hand. It's replaying Mac's voice saying, anytime. So fucking cool.
And when we see this predator vision, on the left side of the screen is like the audio waves going up. So that's, I assume that this view, he's looking, we won't reveal it yet if you haven't, we don't want to give it away, but he's looking through something else because you're seeing the audio waves on the left side as he analyzes it, and he's able to replay it. So I assume he's replaying it on a device of some sort.
We cut to the troops heading deeper into the jungle for safety. Mac and Jesse, the body, stop to have a drink from the flask, talking about how they've been in some bad spots, but this is the worst one yet. Jesse says, you lose it here, you're in a world of hurt. Dylan and the hostage girl are walking, and she tries to make an escape, but she's unsuccessful. Everyone's following Billy, stops in his tracks. We're zapped back to the point of view of this thing, watching Billy in heat vision. Billy stops, so the whole platoon stops. We see Billy rubbing on his pouch with his on his chest, wrapped around his neck. Dutch asks Mac, what's up? He says he doesn't know. Billy's been acting weird all morning. That damn nose of his, it's weird. Dutch approaches Billy, repeats his name several times, but he's unresponsive until Dutch grabs him and his eyes go wide and he looks horrified. Dutch says, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Billy says, "There's something in those trees."
Mm-hmm.
Dutch takes a long, hard look. The camera zooms in. We can't see anything, just trees. Then we're zapped back to the point of view of this thing, and we see it staring directly at both of them, but they can't see it. Billy gets defeated, says, "I guess it's nothing," and walks away.
And this scene now, when I was watching it, reminded me of those like magic paintings that they had, where you would like just all these colors, and then you kind of stare at it for a while, and like the dolphin appears in the water or whatever. I remember when I first saw those, I couldn't do them at all. I couldn't get the focus right, and it was so infuriating because somebody had like a book and they were going through them like, "Oh, look at this one, look at that one," and I'm like, "What are they looking at? I don't understand." But when you get that sort of out of focus view, you're able to see it. But this is, and then I thought, wow, they should do a book of like artwork, and it's like the predators in there and like different scenes. That'd be a pretty cool book.
Like Where's Waldo with Predator.
Yeah.
We're going to copyright that. That's us. It's property of In Madness 2024, now and forever. Our hostage lady tries to make an escape again. The troops chase after her. During the chase, we keep going back and forth from normal view to this thing's POV, watching them in heat vision. One of the troops, the jokester guy, catches the girl, holding on to her. They're staring at each other. We hear it again, this reptilian, lizard-sounding alien noise. The hostage girl looks over, which, my friends, brings me to my milking of the alpacas moment. Still camouflaged, we see this clear, almost see-through figure approach the trooper quickly, running at him and takes him out. Splatters blood all over the hostage girl. We see this camouflaged see-through hand grab the soldier's leg and walk into the jungle, dragging the body. The hostage girl makes a run for it, but she's stopped by another one of the troops who sees she's covered in blood. She looks horrified. The troop looks down and sees the trail of blood left by the jokester dude. He follows it, moves a few leaves, and sees a pile of guts and intestines.
And this that's Sergeant Rick Hawkins, who's played by Shane Black, and one of the reasons they cast him in that role, Shawn, was because he was also a writer. So they used him on set as well to kind of help with some of the writing. So he is a writer, and he's worked on Lethal Weapon, The Monster Squad, The Last Boy Scout, The Last Action Hero, The Long Kiss Goodnight. So he's
All
been around
amazing
too.
movies.
Yeah,
That's
so
so
he's
cool.
just there. He's this jokey guy for us, but yeah, pretty cool.
The troops discover the hostage girl laying petrified, covered in blood, asking her what the hell happened. They want to know what she did to the jokester guy. Troop comes out, tells Dutch he needs to see this. Dutch asks if he found Hawkins, the jokester kid, and Pancho says, "I can't tell." And Dutch looks befuddled. He looks at Dylan like, what the fuck is going on here? Pancho shows Dutch the pile of guts. Says, "What in God's name?" Pancho thinks it's Hawkins. Dutch says, "Where the hell is his body?" Pancho says, "There's no sign of it." Dutch asks the girl what happened. Pancho was shouting at her, "Que pasa?" She says she doesn't know. She says the jungle just came alive and took him. Dylan says that's bullshit. That's not what she said. What she said doesn't make any sense. Dylan and Pancho begin arguing, but Dutch shuts him up. Why didn't they take his radio or his weapon? Why didn't she escape? Dutch looks annoyed and horrified. "I want Hawkins' body found." The troops search the jungle. Dutch comes across this enormous anaconda slithering on a tree branch. We see behind Dutch something is dripping on a branch right behind him, inches away, but he doesn't see it. He walks off into the jungle. The camera pans slowly up a tree. We see an enormous leaf covered in blood. The camera continues panning. The whole branch is soaked with blood. The tree is dripping with blood. The camera looks up, and there's Hawkins, naked, gutted, blood draining, hanging naked, upside down from the tree. Cut to Jesse the body creeping through the jungle. He hears a noise. Takes an enormous Tyrannosaurus chainsaw gun off safety. Says, "Come on, old Painless is waiting." But then sees something weird. A cute little animal, porcupine looking thing walks out of the jungle. He laughs and turns around. And my friend, you'll find out what happens to Jesse the Body Ventura next week, because we have already reached our halfway point for Predator, episode 26, part 1, In Madness Pod. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Make sure you follow us on the socials at In Madness Pod, inmadnesspod@gmail.com. Subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the Spotify playlist. Tell your friends about this show. And we want to know what you thought about Predator first time you saw Predator. What you thought about this episode. What you thought about the movie Predator. Who's your favorite member of the platoon? How do you think they're going to get out of this? Is this going to be your first time seeing Predator because we're talking about it? If so, that's crazy. And that's the purpose of this podcast. How are you feeling so far about episode 26, part 1, Vertebrae?
I'm good. I that went by really fast. This movie is not long. It's an hour and 46 minutes long. So I'm listening to you, Shawn, a couple points. I'm like listening to you go through it, and I'm transported directly into the film. So
So
I,
you
like,
have
blacked
Predator
out
vision.
for a sec. So I got, yeah, that's how I'm seeing you. You're glowing like, and then, you know, I'm wondering if these poor guys are going to get a lunch break. I don't think they're going to get a lunch break.
I love the sound it makes when it
Yeah.
switches back and forth to like the Predator's point of view. It goes, "Waka." It's and then it just like stays humming and then like when it goes back to Billy, like it turns off and it's just them talking. And then when his Predator goes, "Waka."
That's nice. I think that's how we should finish this episode. It's just, but awesome. Appreciate everybody listening. I'm Vertebrae 33. You can check me out at vertebrae33.com, and I've got merch at all Hot Topic stores, and I sell shirts and posters and everything else. So check that out if you want. We appreciate you listening. If you're listening, give us if you can give us a 5-star review on anything you listen to, it'll bump us up the charts a little bit, and more people can hear us, and we can make this this family even larger. But
and like I said, in the next couple of weeks, big things coming. Things are happening. You will be happy. I'm happy. I can't wait to announce it. But yeah, we're just going to string them along. Teasing. Just going to tease for week after week. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. We'll see you next week for episode 26, part 2, wrapping up Predator movie 1 for now on In Madness Pod.